This episode, working with your contractor. Well, we received an email from a listener who recently had some work done on his home. He had some issues with the contractor, so we thought we'd put forth some ideas on how to make the experience better. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Working with Your Contractor. And to help me explain, I am here with my ever-faithful co-host and old buddy, John. John?
Yes, working with your contractor. I don't care how many times you do it, right, Larry? I don't care. It's always there's always a new adventure.
There's challenges every single time.
Yes.
Every single time. There's how do we start this? There's a lot of moving parts to having work done from a contractor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts, and folks, a lot of this is to show how to be a better contractor. If you're a handyman or whatever, and you're listening to this show, it's how to be better at your job. To understand, it's how to make your life easier and your customer's life easier. But some of this stuff is just kind of gets crazy, and so anyway, where do we want to start this one, John? I mean, the email guy, his issues basically were with the subcontractors. Is that what?
So the email comes from after listening to our show about contractors.
Right.
Series, right? So, I've had this, this kind of issue that this guy is describing, but
and so have I.
There's a point of frustration a lot of times in working with people that just let's be honest, that if you have a crew that comes out that's doing some things for you that can't speak your language,
correct,
that if you weren't aware of it beforehand, can be pretty frustrating.
Aware of it pretty rapidly. Yeah,
it
gets frustrating.
Yeah, it can. So I think one of the things, if I was going to say anything about this, is that I'd like to have taken my own advice, but at those times. But I think when you're dealing with a project that's coming up, whether it's whatever it might be,
doesn't matter.
I think you've got to ask the folks that are writing contracts or whatever they're doing, or setting out to work, is another question to add to the repertoire of what, am I going to have any problems communicating with your guys if you are not here?
Yeah, and or even more, I think the initial question is, do you use subcontractors? Now, most people in the contracting industry do, of course.
Yeah,
because
of course.
you can't carry that many employees most of the time.
Right.
So they're using subs, but it is back to, I guess there's a whole series of questions. Like, first off, you have to ask, are you using subs, right? That's where I would start. Are you using subs? And the answer is going to be probably yes. Like almost 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be yes. Yes, we hire subcontractors. All right. So the next question then to me becomes, okay, so who's responsible for managing the subcontractors, right? And then into the questions, like you get a little more into the weeds, like you're talking about. If there's nobody on the crew that speaks English, how do I stop things that I know aren't right or something like that? Especially for, unfortunately, right, John, you and I, and there's a lot of people out there, we have enough experience to know when things are being done properly and when they're being done improperly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the social media sites are loaded with. I saw one just the other day. This was just off Facebook, and a guy says, well, this guy came in to do drywall and he's put no tape over the joints. And I'm like, all right, is the job done? And they're like, well, they're saying it's done. I'm like, they didn't tape the joints? Like, even this person knew it's not right, with no tape in the joints. That's just right. But it's a good example. It's a good example. You don't have to be super technical with things to know whether it's right or wrong.
Right. I think this is, the conversation is just a look ahead. I've known that, a bunch of folks that are customers of mine that,
sure,
and my neighbors that have had some recent activity going on at their house, that they've shared the frustration that this gentleman was sharing with us on email. And
sure,
um, I think this is, like I said, is something to be aware of, because if a manager or a supervisor or somebody on the crew, lead man or whatever, however you want to put it, can't effectively communicate with the homeowner, in this case, is that it becomes things can go sideways. And it's not that you're mad or anything, but it's like frustrating.
It's
That
frustrating.
where it's
Yeah.
just it's like, guys, man, I'd really like to be able to talk to you, but I can't,
Well,
because I don't, if I don't speak whatever the language might be, um, kind of dead in the water until I talk to somebody who can relay some of the things that either I'm seeing or these other folks are seeing.
right. And sometimes you might come across as being mad because you want them to stop.
Yeah.
Do not continue with what you're currently doing because it's not what I want as the
Well,
homeowner,
that's it.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not what I want. You need to stop. And that comes across as being uh, like if you can't speak the language, if you're having the language gap, or and we
Yeah.
hate to
Right.
be this way, but if you're having a language, I don't care if it's Spanish, Russian,
Right.
Portuguese, if you're dealing with
It's
Brazilians,
correct.
or shoot, even in English, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to
Right.
get your point across, right? To truly get your point across, and you hate to come across as being a jerk, but at the same time, if it's not right, it's not right. It's just
Yeah.
not right. Stop. You need to stop,
Yeah.
because if you continue, you're creating more work for you. You're wasting my time, and you're now going to have all this rework that I don't want because I want you out of here. I
Right.
don't want you
Right.
at my house for the next 3.5 months because you screwed up on something you could have stopped when I asked you to stop it. But if you can't
Yeah.
communicate that clearly, what do you do, right? And some of this stuff, I think in this case, if you knew you were going to get subcontractors in, and honestly, John, I forget to ask, are you using subs or not? Because I just do. I mean, we don't remember everything. If I had a check, I probably should make a damn
Well,
checklist.
there's a good point right there, is to
You
have
know,
checklists. I think we probably
right?
outlined that in some episode or something. But I'm at fault too. Now I'm just thinking of, recently my neighbor had a big patio built,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he had some very frustrating times. Let me put it that way. And
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
we're all trying to be fair to each other. This is not a
Correct.
hey, gotcha, or anything like that. We're all trying to be fair. And what to me, the fairness is, you guys, you come in, you do the job that's outlined, and what's what's put down is whatever the architect or whatever these things might be, whatever they encompass, right?
Whatever it
But
is, whatever
but
whatever
hey,
the
we
job
want you to
task is.
be the most efficient you can, make the money that you've charged that we all agreed to, and then you're done. You clean up, and then you're gone, you're done. Now, it's not fair, right, that to have stoppage of work where you're wasting time, then that becomes wasting money, and and if you have to redo the job again,
Yeah,
that's
right.
not fair. It's not fair to anybody
Fair
on.
fair is irrelevant. It's
Right.
just not efficient. It's
Right.
just not the way it should go.
Well, it's
Don't
but that's
I don't
me.
like the word fair, Johnny. I don't like fair. That word
Well,
is irrelevant
well,
to me.
to me, what I'd like to see is that look, listen, hey, you're doing it, you're getting paid for it, and I don't want to see you come back and have to do it again, because it just isn't, it's not right. You're
Exactly.
wasting time and money, your
It's sort
company's
of it's
money.
Yeah, you're wasting your company's money. It kind of goes back to the old, like, how do we want to call it? That old adage of the more layers of communication that you put in, like the more people that you have to deal with, because this is across the board. This is in doesn't matter what the language is. The more people that you put in the middle, the worse the more chance, not the worse, it's the more chance for a miscommunication of
Right.
what the job task is or the scope of work is. In our
Yeah.
case, it's the scope of work, right? So if you put in, if the contractor's hiring a subcontractor who has a crew, for example, that's 3 layers. There's a lot of places where you can have a communication error in that 3 layers, right?
Yeah.
right? And and again, this is even even in if we all speak the same language, it does not matter. It really has nothing to do with language
Right.
at that point. It has to do with levels of steps, because lots of times, as we've talked about so many times, it's the details that matter, and those little details can make all the difference in the world. If you're putting up gutters, it's not necessarily replace what's there, because if the gutters were installed incorrectly in the first place, or there's a belly in the gutter from time, over time, don't slap it back to the same place where it was. Fix the thing, right?
Yeah.
Just as
Yeah.
an example. That's an example. And it's like, no, this isn't a replacement. This is a repair.
Yeah.
Right? There's a
Yeah.
difference. But that can get overlooked.
Yeah. And
That
I
little
think
detail can be
and I think
overlooked.
the other, yeah, no, that's exactly, those are all good points. And the other thing I would add to this, if we're going to put down, some other things that we're missing, like I said, I'm thinking one of my neighbors here with this patio is that, I think the clear definition of what the job is and expectations
Correct.
need to be
Beforehand.
really refined and put down on paper
Yes.
beforehand, right? Before the
Oh,
job gets
absolutely.
started, because
Yeah.
I will tell you that in his case, that things really did go sideways. It went, it took a long time, and he wound up redesigning it in the middle of the project. There's
Oh.
been, because of some of the things that were going on, the mistakes. I mean, it was just, so, you don't want to, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that I know that you can you think that you're a real pain in the butt with hiring people or your contractors and stuff, with getting down to the minutia, but I guarantee you that it will pay off in the end.
Yes, it does.
Because it
It
needs to
pays
be
off.
your expectation, and you need to kind of, I think we went back, when we were talking about this, is to educate yourself on whatever the construction is that's being performed. Not that you might be doing it, okay, for those who don't want to do it, but you need to have some level, or maybe you have a handyman that's a trusted advisor. But anyways, you need to have somebody that can help you understand what is about to take place and put that down on paper, so that your understanding is the same as in this case, we're talking about the subs and the contractor's expectation, so that they're both met. It's a hard thing to do, because a lot of people don't want to get into minutia of that. Hey, I just want my kitchen redone, and here's what I want it to look like.
Yep.
No, I think you really got to get down, and you may think they're saying, you're going to get the response of, boy, these people are really being a pain in the butt. But I will guarantee you, you know what? It's your money, man.
Well, it's more than that. It it's kind
You
of
want
it's
what you got. You want, you want to get what you want,
yeah, but I'm gonna put out this different perspective for you for a second. So my wife is a very organized person, and we have our contractors, we use several different contractors. But I'm about to hire one. I've got to do a driveway. I'm going to hire a contractor. Our contractors love working for us, and here's why: because we get into the minutia, right? All before the job ever starts, we get in the minutia, and every single contractor that we've had work with us, the swear to God,
Yeah.
you know what they say at the end of the job? Oh my God, we loved working for you. Do you know
Yeah.
why? And I go,
Yeah.
tell me. And they all say, we knew exactly what was
Yeah.
expected. We knew
Well,
exactly, like, it was so easy,
this
because,
is
and you didn't change anything, right? It
right.
was just done.
Right. No,
It was just,
this is my point, I guess. Let me restate it, is that you might think that you're being a pain in the butt, but what you're going to find out is the contractors are going to like that.
well,
So
if they don't,
that's why you want to get down into, the minutia of all
the
this stuff,
minutia.
and
I was,
really try to think it out. But that's, it's tough for a lot of people to walk through and to put it all down on paper, but it's got to be done. I mean, it's got to be communicated out, and then have them read it back to you.
sure. Well,
That's the other thing, right?
Yeah. Do you have any? But I was going to say, I was just going to make the point of that. it's a qualifier for a contractor. If they don't want to go
Yeah.
into this minutia, you need a new contractor. Because I'm telling you,
There, and that's another good point. Yeah.
the good contract, and you know this, John, the good contractors that you and I know, they love it when people get into those details, because there's no, at the end of the day,
there's no mutual mystification,
and there's no arguments about money. There's no arguments about you didn't do this, you didn't do that. When it's all written down, you say, well, and there's a clear understanding. It's, here's your check and thanks for the great job. And oh, by the way, here's your tip or your bonus for your guys, or whatever, right? That's the beauty of it. It's one of the beauties of it, because when you get in, and you and I have our customers, we have our customers that are like that. I love my customers like that. I'm a contractor too. I want detail, because then I know at the end of the day, I'm done with the job. It's done the way they want it. Everybody's happy, and there's no surprises.
Right.
I don't like surprises.
Right. Or callbacks and all that kind of stuff. So, that's the whole thing, when you get into something, you start shooting from the hip, and it's like, no.
It never goes well.
Yeah, it never goes well.
Never goes well. All right, Johnny, we got anything else to add to this one?
No, I don't think so. I think, just to answer that email, and then when we were talking about it, that, some of these things were popping up in my head, from the recent things that have been going on that I've seen here. I'm like, yeah, well, I guess the moral of the story is kind of think about that as part of the repertoire of asking your contractor about subs, and that's this level of possible frustration.
Sure. Oh, it's always frustrating. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. All right, buddy. Well, the spaceship's landed. Do you look at it? Do you take it apart? What's the deal? I don't know.
I know there's a lot of things going on lately. I'll tell you that much. We'll get into that at some point.
Something else. All right, folks. But if you like us, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, questions at handymanprosradioshow.com. We do answer our emails. Trust me, we do. Johnny, take it home, baby.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.